Hi folks, it is time for more hobby vlogging, and as the observers amongst you will notice, I'm outside. It's Friday and the weather forecast is set to be sort of 34 for today, and in that brick oven I call my home, it will be far too hot to paint, so I am sat outside with this lovely breeze in the shade, building models. So I filmed my first bat rep, episode 1 of Fulminators versus Nightlords. I did that yesterday. Had a few issues with editing it because the built-in editor on my phone can only do up to 90 minutes. So I had to find a new one. So that edited together okay. It's now uploading to YouTube. The file size, it's 55 gig. 55 gig. I checked my camera settings. I was filming it in quite high def. I'm going to turn that down. That will hopefully help in future. So it's on 17% at the moment on the upload to YouTube, but it's been going for 4 hours. I don't know if it's kind of stalled or if it's just that it's now the middle of the day and all the bandwidth's disappeared, as well as the moon being on fire. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So, I was thinking about what the next game is going to be, Nightlords versus Fulminators. And I'm thinking it's going to be something about the Nightlords scattering on the planet for a protracted campaign. I've not entirely thought it through yet, but basically I want to do a smaller game where just little patrols are fighting each other. So I've been looking at Combat Patrol. Or possibly Incursion, not entirely sure yet, but whilst I've got most of my Nightlords, the observant amongst you, tangenting all over the place, these are Chaos Marine bikes, which I think I need in my Nightlords. Alright, need. They were in my cupboard of shame. Well, it's actually a drawer of shame in one of the 3 rooms of shame in the house of shame. They were earmarked for my Iron Warriors, but they can wait. I'm not paying for the Iron Warriors at the moment, and buying more would take time to arrive. So these are going to be Nightlord bikes. Looking at how to equip them, probably give them some special weapons to race around and shoot stuff and sit on objectives. I can give them more chainswords as well, so I can try and do some nice poses where they're racing into combat. I'll probably just get fulminated off the boards in seconds with the tactical doctrine in effect, but who knows? Who knows? We shall see. So, also with going for a sort of different theme for my next game, I want to do some of my 10th company Fulminators, because most of what I've got at the moment is just the 5th company, and because in order to make a demi company I've only really got ready what I've got ready. The only other bits and bobs are like standard bearers, apothecaries, and a couple of repulsors, which was the range when they all came out, but I'd not been keeping up with the Fulminators. So if I just keep playing that, it's going to start being pretty samey, so I don't want that. I've got a load of the newer stuff, and I've also got the Indomitus box. So whilst they are getting built up, I thought what I could do is I could do some of the 10th company stuff a bit at a time. So I'm currently building some sniper scouts, because from everything I've been able to infer from the books I've read, they don't differentiate scouts for first generation Marines and scouts for Primaris. I think they are effectively both the same, and I infer that the implantation of some of the either the implantation or the maturation of some of the Primaris organs comes later. So I think I can do 10th Company Vanguard Scouts as part of a Primaris chapter. So that's what I'm doing. Until something else comes out that says I can't, that's what I'm doing. So I'm building these sniper scouts. Then I'm going to assemble those bikes. The postman failed to bring me my order from Element Games today, boo hiss, which will have another 10 Chaos Marines in to make up 2 more of my smaller, more depleted claws, which will take me up to Brigade, the big one, which will take me up to the big one. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing today. Paint won't stay wet in this weather. It'll go massively claggy. So I'm having a day of building. No idea how long it's going to take for me to get all these things done. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm sure in a moment I will tell you what I've been doing on another day. So I'm assembling these bikes and feeling a bit nostalgic because not only are they bikes, but they've also got old style Chaos Marines, which are obviously akin to the old style Marines, and I've just been gluing body halves together and filing them and gluing the backpacks on. And yeah, quite nostalgic. I must have made hundreds of those over the years. I do miss those. I miss the interchangeable parts. I miss the old Marines. I am toying with the idea, and it's not like I need another project because I've got 30 odd armies, but I'm toying with the idea of doing a custom chapter of who refuse to take any Primaris Marines and decry Belisarius Crawl and Rebutic Illuminous heretics for... I'm so super tempted, but it's going to have to get in line behind everything else because I got loads of stuff on the shelves and I could add them to my Iron Hands or my Blood Angels or everything else that I've got, but you know what? I know the way the wind's blowing, so maybe I could do that as a sort of last hurrah before they all get eventually phased out and my old armies become redundant. Hashtag sad. Hashtag cry. Another thing I noticed is these scouts have not been eating their shredded wheat. They are seriously due a growth spurt if they are going to turn into those Primaris Marines. The astute amongst you will notice there are 15 Hellblasters here. That is simply because I was entertaining my BFF's niece the other day, and she was making rats from Island of Blood, and sat helping her. I just wanted something easy to build, so I just opened my box of all my random Primaris things and pulled out these ones that I picked up recently and started building. And I've got another box. I can't turn the camera out. There we go. I've got another box that's kind of entirely full. That me a Thomas's box. And like a proper plastic crack addict, I have ordered more stuff that did arrive today. So I have got my 10 Marines to do my next 2 claws for the Night Lords. Hooray! And I've wanted to have some Nurgle Demons on the shelves for a while, and I've got a Death Guard army that's it's assembled but not undercoated downstairs, and it doesn't have enough Plague Marines in, so I've got some Plague Marines to put into the cupboard of shame. No, it'll go in the drawers of shame. So yeah, that's... Hello. I was just about to finish up. To zoom out to get your whole face in. You're sat on the super glue again, aren't you? Phew. Right, say goodbye for now. goodbye for now. Well, it won't be goodbye because there'll be another clip instantly. But for me, it's goodbye for now. She's ignoring me now. How rude. Say goodbye for now. Alright, don't. Okay, so, Saturday. So, what am I doing today? Oh, don't wobble the camera. Winters tells me off for wobbling the camera. Right, so, I've got something to talk to you about here, but let me tell you some other stuff first. So, I'm sat, where are we? Zoom. And I'm watching in the background my bat rep. Because the way I edit these, all I do is link all the clips together and don't watch it and then hope. So I'm kind of watching it to see if I've screwed up and any of them in the wrong order. But I'm also noticing my narration's pretty clunky at the beginning. Lots of erming and pausing, and pros would be pretty ashamed. However, I'm now a little bit torn between, do I try and make it more professional, or actually, is that just going to make it harder and longer to produce stuff? I'm definitely noticing some things. I can do better. And also, like, for example, I haven't actually said, I've named the scenario, but not actually described it. I've also named units, as in, this is what I've got, my champion of the Night Lords, but I haven't said what stats I'm using out the book. I've said, this Dreadnought's got a big gun, a little gun, and a chest gun, but I haven't mentioned what they are. I don't know if that's important or not. I also discovered this morning that I thought I could disable comments in YouTube. Turns out I couldn't. So people are able to comment on these. So hopefully that'll be a good thing. I've seen some very nice comments from people already. Very super pleased with that. Thank you all. You're all awesome. But still a little bit angsty. That's very much my mental health problem. But I'll talk to you all about that, but not today. Those of you who are Deployment Zone subscribers and who've seen my vlog on that will have seen a bunch about my mental health, but not telling you much more about that today. So yes, I'm learning whilst listening as to what I might do differently next time. I also had a bit of a protracted conversation with some of the guys yesterday in the Deployment Zone regulars WhatsApp group. Going, why is it taking me so long to upload to YouTube? Because I set it going at 9:14 and a.m. yesterday, and it finished sometime overnight. It was at about 68% when I went to sleep, which was after midnight, so it had been going about 15 hours by that point. And Liam had said, it shouldn't take that long. So, how big's the file? It's only 55 gig. And I think he actually passed out at the other end. Turns out, I had the camera set to 4K. Whoops. So changed that. In fact, the last one of these clips that I'll have filmed was in 4K, and this one is now in 1080p, which should be smaller. Thank God. Dr. Hibbert there. So what am I doing with the bikes? So I've got the heads on. Zoom. Turns out I had... No focus, please. Thank you. Turns out I had one Night Lord head left, so I've got that on. I want to do a bit of pale Nostraman flesh, so I've got this guy with one of the Nostraman power sword arms. I did think about doing a chain axe or a power fist, but I've got the arm and it's got skulls hanging off it. That's better. Less zoom. Move the model closer to the camera. Reminds me of an episode of Red Dwarf. My zoom doesn't work out. Human eyes don't have zoom, Crichton. You just move your head closer to the object. Move your head closer to the object. I digress again. My brain. I have just realised in putting them together, though, that these two are the same. They've got the same heads and the same swords in the same pose, so a little bit disappointed with myself there. I could start prying some of the other heads off to make them look a bit different, but this head only fits on that model because the sword's sticking up. I definitely want the open head on that one, so I really could have put the skull head on the sword with a different pose, but I'll try and paint it a little differently, or maybe I'll stick some heads or something on this. Yeah, maybe I'll go rummage for some heads to glue to the front of the bike, or maybe some intestines. Yes, lovely intestines. So what I've been trying to do is, I definitely want them to all have swords, because they can take chainsaws instead of bolt pistols, which means they have an extra attack each in melee. They only have one as a base because apparently legionaries suck compared to the mammoth Primaris Marines. But that's okay. At least it is narratively consistently sucking. So they've all got the chain swords or the power swords. They've all got 2 attacks each. So on the charge with shock assault, I refuse to call it hateful assault because it is because they are Astartes, not because they're chaos worshippers. In the same way that before it was removed, they had bolted discipline, not hateful volleys. Because it's nothing to do with the fact they hate them, it's to do with the fact that they are Astartes. Digressing again. So, I want the 2 special weapons on the unit, and I've been trying to work out where best to put, and you can kind of see already by the presence of a magnet there how I've done. But I did think about putting it on the back, and I wanted to orient it in such a way that when he reached round, let me try and show you, behind him, the grip was in a position where he could just pick it straight up and bring it round. So either potentially like that or like that. And as you can see, without doing some work on that pipe to bend it round, that really wasn't going to work. I did kind of think of magging it on there. Oh, let me change the camera angle. Of sort of magging it on there to be similar, but then I thought it's kind of near the exhaust, but then I hit on the idea of maybe putting it on the front leg strut, which didn't work. So the problem I've got now is I need 3 hands. Let me see if I can prop this up on there. Yes, there we go. Which kind of doesn't work, but I did notice that the back end of the gun was sort of sitting over the fuel tank. So what I've done is I popped a magnet in it. Now I haven't actually trimmed this yet. It's not ready. I haven't drilled the barrel out or anything. But can I do this looking through the camera? Eee! So the gun is mag-locked to the fuel tank. They talk about mag-locking guns all the time. So, yeah, super happy with that. And he can just, when the bike's stopped, or he can mag-lock his sword somewhere else, change hands, and pull out the melter to fire the melter. But what it does mean is I think I might root round in my bits box for the flamers and the plasmas as well and get those on there. So I've got all the options. Yeah, I totally think I'm going to do that. It's a lot harder to do on the marine models, especially now they are these marine models and they all have different arms to go with different guns. When it was back in the day and it was all interchangeable heads, torsos and shoulder pads, you could easily sink a magnet into the block of the fist and then have all the guns being interchangeable because they just sat in the cross arm grip that you can see across this this Primaris Marine. The gun, you could just lift it out and then magnet the other one in. Obviously you can't do that with these guys that are moulded and those guys that are moulded because they've got specific arms to go specific bodies. So it's harder to do on the actual Marines because this, my Night Lord's army is all the new Marine models. It's why I did it. I had a dilemma as to whether or not to do these as Night Lords or Red Corsairs. And I put it on the deployment zone regulars chat, and more people said Night Lords than Red Corsairs, so I went with Night Lords. And then I listened to the Night Lords trilogy, so I was super glad I'd gone with Night Lords. Anyway, So yeah, I'm going to magnetize the bejesus out of those, build those. Then, depending what time it is, because I'm online gaming tonight, I'll get those sprayed and ready to go. I might start looking at painting some of the fulminators, because I've got to work out what I'm going to get painted up for the next game. I definitely need some more Vanguard units, because I think I mentioned on this yesterday, the fulminators are going to be hunting down the Night Lords who've scattered on Archimedes 9 in the next fight. So I need to get some of those units ready. And I've got some Phobos units to paint up as well. I think I've got about maybe half a dozen models, maybe a dozen models to paint up to get that 500 points to work. Don't think I need any more Night Lords for the minute. I've got a balance adding new units to, because my plan is to do the Night Lords and the Fulminators as an ongoing thing, because lockdown, or at least me doing what I think the spirit of lockdown warrants, the sensible approach, as I call it, doing that, I think, means I'm going to be filming against myself for quite a while. So I'm going to do Night Lords and Fulminators and Run and Run. And I need a variety of the armies. I don't want the armies just to look the same. So I've got to put quite a bit of effort into getting a range of units up for these guys. I'll have done most of the Night Lords, barring things that I add later. It's a stupid statement. I've done them all, apart from things I haven't done. I spent ages looking through the list yesterday, trying to see what else I could add that might be kind of right. The only other things I could really see were Predator tanks and maybe a Warpsmith as a Tech Marine. So they are maybe options. But I think I have definitely decided to do my Chaos Knights as a small Night Lord Knight detachment, but they will come later for some bigger games. So I've got some variety. I've got my 10th company stuff to do for my Fulminators. I've got a few more bits to round off the... Now, I said in my last video they were the 5th company, but I think actually, having had a look at the codex again, I think the gold trims on their shoulders... I'm pointing at an imaginary trim here. The trims on their shoulders are only gold for the Fulminators because they're 2nd company. I infer from reading in the codex that they follow the... Focus, damn you. They follow the Ultramarines patterns quite closely. So I think if they were 5th company, they'd have to have black trims. So I think all the ones I've done so far, I'm going to have to retcon that and say it's 2nd company. And then, yes, so that would mean all of the 1st company stuff I do will have to have white trims, and the 10th company stuff I do will have to have no trims. So I've got a few more 1st company bits and bobs, 2nd company bits and bobs under here to flesh out some of the fast attack and heavy support options. I've obviously also got the assault intercessors to do. They are troops. I might wait to do those until I read the new codex to see if it even says... I don't care what slot they take up. I care what part of the chapter organisation they come from. So if it says they are close support, then they're going to be close support units, even if they're troops. In the same way that Reavers are... Well, Reavers are a bad example, actually, because they've chopped and changed what they are in the books. They've retconned that as they've gone along. Initially, they said they were sort of fast attack choices, which meant they were close. Said they were close support, which in the old world makes them equivalent of assault marines, even though they are chosen from an elite slot. Back in the day, it was super simple. Your 1st company were elites. Your 6 troops were troops, your core units, your assault marines were fast attack, and your devastators were heavy support. It used to be super simple, but now the slots they occupy in the roster for the game do not correspond to the roles they play in the chapter. So that makes that kind of difficult. Yeah, so, and I've got some, I think intercessors. I think I've got 10 intercessors here, so I'm totally doing those as first company, so I can make them veteran intercessors, and then when I'm doing things like taking Blade Guard, I can have 10 first company Marines and go, right, you 3 are Blade Guard, you 7 are veteran intercessors. That way I've got 10. I have got 10 first company Marines, and I don't have to worry unduly about the 3 thing. I'm going to do a video at some point about my feelings on Marines in 3s, so I won't go into that in a lot of detail now. I think that can come under, in my humble opinion, which is what I'm calling my Say Hi Paul just talks about random stuff. No, Say Hi Paul talks about specific stuff, probably in a very random way. Whereas the hobby vlogs are just whatever comes into my head when I turn the camera on, which has probably come across throughout the course of this video. So, gonna go carry on watching myself on YouTube, which is super weird, and magnetising guns. Whoop, whoop, laters. So I have about half an hour to kill before my Saturday online gaming session with the lads starts. So I am returned to these. So a little I hate the model from GW. I really do. It had feet that look like concrete tree trunks, and the model for what's effectively meant to be a jump pack is exactly the same as the grav harness, and you compare it to the jump packs on these, and they're meant to actually effectively do the same thing, and those feet are meant to do the same thing as well. So I don't like that. I've not liked that from the start, and I did this conversion a little while back with intercessor legs and just their torsos, but I'm still not happy with it. I'm not happy with the notion of them flying around the battlefield like this. So I can either not ever fly them around, i.e. Move them less than their maximum move. Feels kind of wrong. I've just realised, of course, I painted the shoulder pads gold on this. I don't know whether I should have done that. Whether that's a problem with the chapter markings, because these are 10th company. Oh God, gonna have to go to the book and see if I can work anything out from it. There's so little army structure and narrative in there from that point of view. Anyway, that's not what I'm talking about here. So I'm wondering if I can use these. I've got loads of these kicking about, and I'm thinking, this is where I need 3 hands again, that if I snip off this above the white blob, and then snip this below here, if I can kind of fit them together and that would work. They could jump around with jump packs, but I don't have any more of these backpacks if I truly mess it up. Got plenty of these if I mess these up. So, brave or stupid, that's what I am about to have a go at. I'll let you know how we're going. Fixed it. That is much better. Yeah. I can take that. Live with that. All I need to do now is say all. Yeah, you can see some holes in there, but honestly, at that distance on the tabletop, you really won't see it. Just a bit of green stuff to stuff in the gaps, a paint job, and a shed load of screen doors. Yeah, right, now to convert the others. Yeah, much better. Good stuff.